And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. A triple murder defendant has made sensational claims that the prosecution's star witness was a major drug smuggler who had admitted he was willing to kill. Michael Steele, who along with mechanic Jack Womes, has been charged with ruthlessly executing drug dealers Pat Tate, Tony Tucker and Craig Rolfe, began his evidence on the first day of the defence case. Looking relaxed in a grey tweed jacket and open blue neck shirt, the 54-year-old walked the short distance from the dock to the witness box, flanked by a lone security guard. His barrister, Graham Parkins QC, questioned him about some of the evidence the jury has already heard in this long-running trial. When it came to the topic of Supergrass Darren Nichols, who provides the basis of the prosecution case, Steele said they had met in Hollesley Bay Prison in Suffolk. He revealed, quote, "I found there were two sides to him, a very silly side and a very educated side. He's what I would call a habitual, always turning up on my doorstep." It was during one of those visits to Steele's home in St Mary's Road, Great Bentley, Essex, from which Steele ran his business MJS Commerce, that Nichols allegedly made his astonishing confession. Steele told a spellbound Old Bailey jury it was after Nichols had visited Basildon Hospital in November 1994, where Tate was being treated for a gunshot wound to his arm. He said, "Nichols told me, I could do that, I could shoot someone, I've often spoken to myself about it." When he got to know Nichols, he was quite schizophrenic. When he said this, he was standing with his hands in his pockets and his head bowed. He looked like a child that had been scolded. Steele said Nichols had been very upset by his visit to the hospital, as Tate and his friends had ridiculed him. Steele also told the jury that Nichols was a drugs importer who brought cannabis into the country via car ferries using drivers known as suicide jockeys. Nichols has claimed Steele and Womes, 36 of Main Road, Brockford, Suffolk, shot 37-year-old Tate of Gordon Road, Basildon, Rolfe, 26 of Calshot Avenue, Chafford 100, and Tucker, 38 of High Road, Fobbing, after a drug deal went wrong. He has testified he was the unwitting getaway driver for the killings down remote Workhouse Lane in Rettendon on December 6, 1995. Both Steele and Womes denied triple murder and conspiring with Peter Corey, 45 of London Road, Clacton, to smuggle drugs. Corey has also pleaded not guilty. Mr. Parkins then asked Steele about his relationship with victim Pat Tate, who dealt drugs in jail and often took up to 8 ecstasy tablets a day himself. Steele said, quote, "When I first knew him, he had a magnetic personality, and while 70% of people liked him, 30% loved him. But he gradually changed into a junkie." Steele also talked of his close friendship with co-defendant Jack Womes, who he met in prison through a shared love of boats. Michael Steele admitted he was no stranger to the criminal courts. His defence barrister, Graham Parkins QC, asked, "Is it true you are content for the jury to know things about your past?" He replied, "I would like the jury to know everything there is to know about me." Mr. Parkins then read out his long list of previous convictions. March 1964, sent to prison for 12 months for stealing property and driving while disqualified. 1966, sent to prison for 6 months for stealing property and assaulting causing actual bodily harm. June 1966, a 12-month conditional discharge for stealing from a vehicle. 1968, fined £15 for possession of an offensive weapon, a motorcycle chain. February 1969, an 18-month jail term suspended for 3 years for trying to cheat customs of oil duty. March 1972, sentenced to 5 years in prison for theft from a motor vehicle. February 1980, suspended sentence of 6 months for theft. September 1980, sent to jail for 12 months for stealing tyres and wheels and being in breach of a suspended sentence. 1986, 1-year conditional discharge for criminal damage. June 1990, 9 years in prison for importing 300 kilos of cannabis in a light aircraft. Steele, a highly experienced pilot, was also ordered to hand over to customs £120,000, half his former marital home, £15,000 from his mum's home, his 33-foot motor cruiser, his aircraft and his Land Cruiser. The following newspaper article is from the 10th of the 11th, 1997, with the headline, Fuel Bill Provides Vital Defence Alibi. A simple petrol receipt could spell freedom for a triple murder defendant an Old Bailey jury has heard. Michael Steele, 54, accused of gunning down three drug-dealing pals with the help of right-hand man Jack Womes, strenuously denies the killings. The court has already heard from Supergrass and star prosecution witness Darren Nichols, who claims he was the unwitting getaway driver for the murders. He told the court he met Steele and Womes in Marks Tate near Colchester at 5 p.m. on December 6, 1995, and then drove the trio via a roundabout route to Workhouse Lane in Rettendon. The bodies of drug barons Pat Tate, Tony Tucker and Craig Rolfe were found in a Range Rover down that lane the following day. Steele allegedly killed them after he fell out with Tate over a cannabis deal. In court on Friday, Steele's barrister, Graham Parkins QC, produced a petrol receipt for December 6th, the most dramatic twist in a defence case so far. It showed that Steele signed a credit card slip at a garage around 8 miles and a 20-minute drive away from Marks Tate at 5:01 p.m. on the day of the murders. Mr. Parkins added, quote, "If you then arrived in Marks Tate from the direction Nichols said you did, would it take even longer?" Steele replied, "Yes, it would be slower. You would encounter all the traffic." The petrol receipt also showed 4-Star petrol was purchased, the fuel on which Steele ran his Renault car. The Toyota Hilux off-road vehicle Nichols claims Steele was driving uses diesel. Nichols has also told the court a call from Womes' mobile phone to his own mobile at 6:59 p.m. that evening was the signal for him to pick up Steele and Womes from Workhouse Lane. He said they then drove to a pub in Rayleigh before Steele returned to his home in St Mary's Road, Great Bentley, Essex. But the defence said it will prove he was back at his bungalow by 7:30 p.m. to meet his former sister-in-law and her daughter. The defence team played tapes in court of telephone calls to Steele by 2 undercover police officers posing as IRA members Billy and John. They are heard telling Steele they were owed money by the dead men and demand he comes up with the cash. Senior police officers have testified the detectives were not authorised to make any such threats to Steele. Yet on the tapes, the officers are heard saying, quote, "You are going to have to emigrate, that's the only way, because I'm going to have to follow this up, and I have A-levels in whacking people." Other sinister lines include, quote, "The ceasefire's gone, Mickey, and your ceasefire's gone." They also tell him to watch his car. Steele and Womes, 36, of Main Road, Brockford, Suffolk, deny the killings and charges of conspiring with Peter Corey, 45, of London Road, Clacton, to smuggle cannabis. Corey has also pleaded not guilty. The following newspaper article was from the 11th of the 11th, 1997, with the headline, Tempers Flare in Triple Murder Trial. An Old Bailey judge was forced to intervene when sparks flew during heated cross-examination of a triple murder defendant. It was Michael Steele's 4th day in the dock and the first time he had been questioned by prosecutor Andrew Munday QC. The Clacton engineer's temper soon began to fray as he was accused by police of fabricating evidence. The Honourable Mr Justice Hidden had to remind him to answer the questions. Mr Munday was also reprimanded for making facetious comments. Steele, 54, of St Mary's Road, Great Bentley, Essex, is accused, along with 36-year-old Jack Womes of Main Road, Brockford, Suffolk, of shooting dead 3 drug-dealing pals on December 6, 1995. Darren Nichols, the prosecution's star witness, claims he was the getaway driver for the murders, which he alleges were prompted by a falling out between Tate and Steele over a cannabis deal. Both Womes and Steele deny the killings. Mr Munday asked Steele, quote, "Darren Nichols has told the police and now this jury about the importation of cannabis and your part in the murders of these 3 men. And it's your belief that you would only have stated that if you had been in league with police officers?" Steele replied angrily, "I'm putting to this court that corrupt Essex police officers led and guided Darren Nichols through his statement and interviews." Mr Munday continued, "You are someone who has a suspicion of police officers and customs officers. You believe that they invent evidence." He added, quote, "The The boat was purchased to do drug runs, wasn't it? Steele grew angry as he replied that the boat was used for one particular purpose, diving. He added, quote, "It has never had drugs on it, and you damn well know it." Steele was closely questioned about the accounts of his engineering business. Mr. Monday read out balance sheets in which expenditure exceeded income. Then he revealed Steele had taken out a £67,000 mortgage to set up his business, and bought another property worth £60,000, which he then renovated. He also put a £20,000 deposit down on a new house and paid out nearly £13,000 cash for a boat. But Steele said the £20,000 had been a loan from a friend, and the boat was paid by a syndicate including Womes, his brother John Womes, and Corey. The trial continues. If you would like to learn more about the Range Rover murders, then click on the video in front of you now. You will also see the Essex Boys playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient folder. Many thanks for joining me for this video. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.